Hello, everyone. Today we're going to create a special kind of art. It's called neurographic art, and it's used for art therapy and encourages relaxation. We all could use that, right? This is relaxing for me, and I'm calling this one Colorful Creations. And here's a couple examples. Doesn't this look like sun shining through stained glass? I think it does. Basically, this is just a series of free-flowing lines that move across the paper. And you can see here that they're moving across the paper. And we gently round the corners instead of leaving the sharp points. So the artwork feels smooth, calm, and connected. Let's look at the materials we'll be using. Let me set these off to the side a little bit. Okay, I am going to use a straight edge. And I know that kind of goes against what this is supposed to do, but that's kind of how I roll. I taped down some paper, and let me show you the paper. It's Bristol board, smooth Bristol board, and it can hold ink. However, I am using alcohol inks, and it does bleed, so plan appropriately. So you don't, you might want to lay something down so it doesn't bleed onto your table. But this is just Bristol board that I'm using. The other thing I am using, I'm going to use some colored pencil in these lines here. This is a kind of something I discovered while I was practicing, and I think it's just a cool effect. So I'm using some Prismacolor in different shades of gray. I just have a gel pen that I will be using, a Sharpie, black Sharpie, and these, they're called Touch 80-piece, here, I'll set them over here, 80-piece alcohol markers. And I kind of just discovered those, and I really like how they work. You know how sometimes when you do markers and you can see the lines, these help with that. So I have a couple different sets of alcohol markers. This one's Mart, and they're just alcohol markers. And you can see here. But I do have a question for you all. I'm taping my paper down, and I am using, I think it's called drafter's tape. What tape do you use? Because like on this paper that I did, it kind of ripped up the corner of my picture. So I'm just curious what kind of tape you use. But this is called drafter's tape. I know there's washi tape. I just didn't know if there was something that I'm not seeing on the internet or at my craft store. So anyway, okay, let's get started. I think I babbled on enough about that. Let's get started. Like I said, I'm going to use my straight edge, and I'm going to use my lightest Prismacolor that I have. And this one's just warm gray. And I'm kind of going to make a Z, kind of like for a Zentangle, maybe. So I'm kind of pressing down hard. It really doesn't matter what you do here, just as long as you have some movement on the page. And I'm going to do another one maybe this way. Or maybe they're ends. I don't know. Hey, whatever letter you choose to do. I'm just trying to get some shapes. And I think I want to break this space up a little bit, so I'm going to just draw a straight line here and maybe go up to the corner here. And maybe one here. Whoop. That's all right. I'm going to fill it in. I like using my mistakes as I go to make it look like I meant to do it. All right. Now I am going to, like on this one where I kind of messed up, I'm kind of glad that happened, actually. So I am going to kind of make that line a little thicker. And as you see, I'm not using my straight edge because I want these lines to be thicker. So I'm going to just really quickly do that. And I'm just kind of filling in, following my lines. Oh, I made that one really thick. Goodness, what was I doing? All right, we're just going to go with it. This is live. Sorry if my hand's in the way. Trying to go at different angles. And don't worry if it's not, the lines aren't filled in perfectly. You want, and as you can see on this one, you want there to be some white showing through, or it to make it look kind of cloudy. And I kind of like that effect. It actually looks, if you looked at a stained glass, it kind of looks like the lead that they use in between the panes. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. All right, after we've done that, I'm going to go with my Sharpie and my gel pen. So I'm going to sit these others, my colored pencils off to the side here. I've done this both ways. This one, I didn't do the colored pencil. I just went with the Sharpie and I rounded all the points. This is what we're doing today. I kind of outlined again with my gel pen, and then I went over with my Sharpie. And it can get a little tricky because the Sharpie point is kind of thick, but I'm just going to set my Sharpie off to the side here. And I'm just using a gel pen. These are called 𝗏𝗏, T-O-L gel pens. I really like them. I think, sorry, that's a brand new pen. I didn't take the tip off. I think I bought these at the bin store. I talked about that in another video. I like to thrift. So I am going to just trace each corner. And don't worry if you go over your gray lines, that's fine. And I'm going to do that before I round the edges. So bear with me here. What do you all like to do to relax? I like to do this, and kind of clears your mind. And you're concentrating on your lines. At least I am. And I'm not worried if I'm getting this perfect. All right, I think I'm just going to do half down for time purposes with you. So I'm just going to go from this horizontal line down to show you what I'm doing. Got out the lines that way, but we're going to fill that in with the colored pencil, and it will be okay. All right, I think I have them. Whoops, I missed over here. Okay, now after I'm done with my fine pen, I'm going to go in with my Sharpie, and here's where I round the corners, the points where we had made with our straight edge. And I want these lines to be a little thicker. I like using the small pen to help me not mess up with the Sharpie. And we just round off all the corners. Some of them you might want more rounded than others. Some you might not want as rounded as others. This is your project. You do how you want to do it. And see, I kind of got in my gray a little bit there. They kind of look like little window panes, don't they? What I like about this is each one will look different. They're not all going to look the same. Around my edges here. I kind of got that one a little wonky. And got a few more to do. Goodness, I really rounded that one off. Now these small little spaces, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Because my Sharpie's just way too thick. Goodness. I think I need to take my own advice and slow down a little bit. I got to fix that corner. They do make fine tip Sharpies. I just don't have one, and maybe that would help me a little better too. Or actually, just don't worry about it. This is for fun. It's kind of a relaxing thing to do in January because it's been a long month already. I don't know about you. Coming off Christmas, sometimes you just want to do something just for fun, and it's relaxing. Each space will look different. What you can do too is after you're finished with the alcohol inks, I discovered you can go back over with your Sharpie. It will go over the ink. Just kind of neat. Okay, I am going to take my fine gel pen and I'm going to fix some of these corners that I did. And these little small spaces, I'm going to use my finer tip pen. My Sharpie was just way too thick tip. I'm just going to round the edges. And realistically, you're supposed to like round off all the edges. So maybe these gray pieces where I use the colored pencil, maybe they should be rounded, but I'm not going to do that today. Anywhere you see that you kind of, where I didn't round it off a little bit like I should have, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit with this gel pen. And actually, the thick lines kind of, to me, kind of help break up the color a little bit. Now, these really, really teeny pieces, I'm just going to fill in totally black. All right, I think I'm about done. I can go back later. Like I said, I'm only doing halfway down for time purposes because it can get kind of boring watching me do this. Let's look at, I think I just wanted to show you these. These are called 𝗦𝗪𝗡 dual tip alcohol markers, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and use this big set that I have here. And I'm just going to randomly pick colors. I have no planning on this. I'm just randomly picking colors. So this one looks interesting. This one is green 𝗡𝗡𝗧. And I usually start out with my finer, these are dual tip, by the way. I start with my finer tip and I kind of outline again. I did discover that if you get too close to the Sharpie, it will bleed a little bit. So just be mindful of that. And then you take the chisel point. You can see that. And you fill in. Like I said, I really haven't used these before, and I like how you just don't see your lines. You do a little bit, but it's the alcohol helps blend them. What you could do if you wanted to, and maybe I'll just show you really quick. Let's take another shade of green. Right next to it was one called yellow green. And I'm not sure how this will work, but we can make maybe shadows in the corner. Yeah, that does work. A little darker than I wanted it to be. But anyway, I'm going to go back over with the other green that I had. See if I can smooth out those lines a little bit. Okay, I experimented with y'all. That was just a little bit darker than I wanted, but you know what? It's okay. This is just playing around and relaxing, and I don't have to be worried about if it's correct. That's the beauty of Neurographic or Zentangle or doodling. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. So I'm going to take a yellow here. I'm doing this smaller space. Like I said, I'm not, and there's a corner there that I forgot to round off. So I will go back and do that after that is dried. I don't know how long it takes these to dry. I think they're pretty much dry right away. I'm just randomly picking colors. And filling in the spaces. What I did kind of discover though, when you use the fine tip, it does kind of leave a few little lines. So if you want to try to smooth them out a little bit, you can go in with your chisel point. Okay. Let's just keep moving on. All right, I can't get that back in. I'm just going to lay it out. I'm going to try this pink color. That's what I discovered with this set. I really like it. But if you don't get the pens in there just right, then you're like trying to find the slot that they go in. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna fiddle with that on camera. So I'm just gonna fiddle with them later. Here's another yellow color. It's called Fresh Green. And only thing I am kind of doing is I'm trying to keep, like if I've done a yellow, I try not to put them next to each other. I kind of did on this one up here. This was an orangey yellow or called Fresh Green. I don't know. Let's see. Let's do a blue. Might have done this one already. I'm not sure. So I'm going to put it over here if I did. Oh, I think it's a little darker. That's one advantage of sitting them out. You know what you've done. Have you ever worked with alcohol markers before? They're kind of cool. Like I said, though, these are bleeding through my Bristol board a little bit. So you can lay something down, or this cutting board that I have down here just washes off. What I have seen other people do is lay a small acrylic gesso or a fixidant medium over their paper first and then go on top of it. I have not tried that, so I do not know if that works. I just make sure I'm on here, or I lay something down. And you make sure you're not going to, if you're doing this in a sketchbook, I'm not really sure. I think it would bleed on the other side. So you got to test your markers before you do it in a sketchbook for sure. Here's a bright green. Let's try this one. I've noticed with the darker colors too, it takes them a little bit to blend. You know what? Actually, after this one's dried, that doesn't look too bad. The one that I added another color on top. Let's go with this kind of peachy color. Vermilion. Okay. Okay, oh, there's so many colors to choose from. This is nice. I like using yellow in some of the spaces, kind of breaks up the other colors. Let's see. Whoops. I wanted to find the sharper point. I think I will do a gray. I did that on one of these other ones and I liked it too. It's almost gray blue. Kind of ties everything in a little bit. And there's another lavender color. That was really, really light. Real subtle. All right, just got a few more spaces that we'll fill in, and then I'll show you how I'm going to clean up the edges a little bit more. And then we'll kind of wrap this one up. I'm just really quickly going to fill in these other ones. Sorry. I know this can get kind of monotonous for you watching, not doing it. I'm just going to take this gray and fill in these little small spaces. Okay, kind of like that. And I wanted to leave the front half so you could see the lines and see exactly what I did. And I'm going to take, just to kind of make my gray colored pencil, fill in a little bit where I felt like it needed to be. And then you can go back with your, sorry, I stuck my hand over the camera. You can go back with your fine pen, and like this one right here, I know I didn't round off very well. And you can kind of clean up your edges where after you've got the color in, you can kind of see, oh, that looks kind of wonky. I need to clean that up. So anyway, you know what? I hope this was fun and relaxing. And sometimes we all just need to slow down and just doodle. A quick little story, though, and not to be a downer. My dad passed away several years ago. And before he passed, he asked me to draw an eye. I'm going to show it to you. And he also said to me, do that thing you do. So here's the eye that I did. And he was talking about Zentangle or doodling, and I thought it would kind of be appropriate to show this right now while we were doing a Zentangle type neurographic lesson. Anyway, but you know what? I didn't get to finish before he passed, but that's okay, because when I look at this makes me happy and it reminds me of my dad. You know what? So what I decided to do, I'm going to start ending my videos saying, doing that thing I do in remembrance of him. So if this was helpful, take a moment, try this yourself. Grab your markers and let the lines flow. Just doing that thing I do. Thanks for doodling with me, and I'll see you next time.